You know, choosing lights to put on your set, if you're a live streamer, can be kind of like not even really knowing where to start. Some people like twinkly lights, some people like static lights, some people like light movement, some people don't like lighting at all. But whatever the case may be, if you're going through for a professional look, or if you're going for something that's a little bit more indicative of who you are or the type of channel it is, lighting is an important component. It's almost as important as the sound. So I'm going to help you go through some of the lights that I use on set and help you hopefully make some decisions of your own if you're looking at expanding either your current setup or just starting fresh. Let's get started. All right, well, first and foremost, we got to do this disclaimer thing. The products I'm about to introduce to you are not provided to me. We're not sponsored by anybody. I bought these with my own money. So these are my opinions and my opinions only. I do this as a service to you guys because honestly, I think it's best to give impartial reviews on products. But more than that, I don't like doing marketing videos. There's plenty of YouTubers out there that do that kind of stuff in, open box videos, and it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. But once you open the box and once you put it on set or you start to use it, what do you do with it? That's more of like my shtick. So we're going to look today at a couple of things. First of all, I mentioned two products that I want to talk about, and these are both tube lights. So I got them up on screen here. This is the RGB one from Neewer, and this is the MT Pro from Aputure. Now, Aputure is known as more of a high-end professional light company, and it is, and the prices are consummate with that. And then the Neewer products are more what I would say budget-friendly, and let's just call it for what it is. It's certainly more creator-friendly in terms of, we don't make a ton of money and we don't have big Hollywood budgets for things. So unless you have a pile of cash you're sitting on, you really should be taking a look at these lights as options. Neither one of them are really that expensive, but they do enhance the quality, and one is significantly more expensive when compared to the other. The other thing that I want you to take into account, and you'll see a little bit of in the video, is when you're buying a light, kind of like anything else that's controlled remotely in your set, you're buying into an ecosystem, and that ecosystem is the app that the light interacts with. So let's go ahead and take a look at the light's features. Now, this is a high-level overview. What I do here on our YouTube page is I do about 15 to 20 minutes where I just go through any product that I'm reviewing. If you want a more in-depth review where I do measurements and side-by-side testing and really get down to the nitty-gritty of these products, that's on our membership page that's at basecamp.pro. These reviews are designed specifically for people like you, like me, who are using products to enhance their live streams. If you want more after this review, I'll put it at the end of this video. I'll link to our main page. It's also down below. Okay, so first we're going to start out with the RGB one. And let me switch over to that view real quick. So this is the RGB one. Now I've got a metal tabletop here, which is useful because both the MT Pro and the RGB one, as you can see here, they stick. They're magnetic, which is quite nice actually. This is 10% brightness. Now the glow that you see around it, that's because I'm using a Pro Mist filter on my camera lens. So it's kind of going to give that glow. You can see this is the brightness of the RGB one. And then I will turn on the MT Pro and let it do its startup thing. And so these are both set to 10%. And you can see looking at them, they don't look a whole lot different, right? And that's good. Ultimately, this is what you want. At least we know at this point that the lights perform similarly. Now, clearly you can see between the lights that they're different in size. The RGB1 USB port is right there, right? But the MT Pro, it is right there. So it's on the end. Both lights can be controlled from the rear of the unit. So let me take this and I'll put it here. So you can see that the RGB1 is designed to be utilized vertically, because just looking at the user interface, and we'll just look at the RGB1 and its capabilities. So you can see there's some buttons along the side here. There's this interesting kind of like a rainbow of colors. And then here's your panel for layout. When looking at this, you see you've got 10, which means the light's running at 10%. The GM, that's green, magenta, shift. So right now this light is running in CCT mode, which basically allows you to set the Kelvin of the light. 56 is short for 5600 Kelvin. So that's what this light is running at. This is 5600 Kelvin. Now along the side, you can also see the buttons here. So if I just press and hold the plus button, you can see it goes up. And then if I wanted to go and adjust the color temperature down, and you can see what happens to the light. It starts to get warmer and warmer. So it's easy to control. Some people say, well, it's not really useful. I would disagree. I would say that this is, when you're designing a light that's got this much surface area, they did a pretty good job on, where things are in relation to each other. And probably more importantly, you can hold this with one hand and make pretty much all the adjustments you need. So I find this the least useful and probably the biggest pain in the butt. And if you have it connected to the app, you'll almost never use it. So for me, this is the best part about it. If you want to reset this, if you want to just go back to what it was, hit the M button down here where my thumb is, and that'll take you. So this is effects mode, and then back to CCT mode. Let's focus on the back of the MT Pro, which is different. If you're using the app, you're almost never going to touch back here. But if you do need to set this light in particular, if you're using it on set, you might find yourself using this back panel. But you can see here, I'm in CCT mode. Int means intensity, CCT color, 5600, and then the GM shift. So we're going to adjust some more here. And people are complaining. You see that it's going up incrementally, but as you continue to go on, it will start jumping faster. And so, yes, does it take a little bit of time? It can. Is it a killer? No, it's not a killer. Now, if we go back a level here, I can set HSI. Now, it doesn't have a color bar, but I can just go in here, set whatever hue I want. And again, this will, see, that one's already jumping, right? I'm already from 360, I'm more than half. I'm 2/3 of the way there, right? So I can adjust my hue, of course, the saturation, and you can even adjust the color here. RGB values, if that's all you got to work with. This one works off of percentages, effects, and these are standard effects. They've got system effects. I can go through. I want to do cop car, right? I don't use these effects all that much, to be honest with you. You also have what's called pixel effects, and pixel effects are pretty cool because what it does is it does something like that. You see, it's got the pixel chase. You can start to simulate some really cool effects. And what does that mean exactly? So you could do that kind of effect, like I'm driving along and I'm just passing, and you can set this frequency to be whatever you want. Over here behind me, you can see that this light is using a pixel effect. It almost kind of gives, the way I've got it set up right now, it almost looks like a lava lamp. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks and let's talk about what the key differences are in terms of side-by-side comparisons. Okay, so RGB1 versus the MT Pro. So you can see right here the brightness between the two. There is a difference. Now at 5600, I would say that maybe not so much. You might, well, you're absolutely going to notice it. And this is also in the more detailed review. At different colors, you're going to notice when it engages certain sets of LEDs to create color blends that you will get differences in intensity. So it's not consistent all the way across. So the brightness between the two doesn't really reflect it. It's 200 lux, but I mean, the reality is that you won't see that at 5600. You might a little bit, but because of the size of the MT Pro being 12 inches versus the 9.8, it kind of looks like about the same brightness. You can see that the MT Pro also consumes about 2.5 watts less than that of the RGB one. Battery life is also a big one. You can see the two are portable. They can run off of battery power, but you get 30 minutes more on the MT Pro. The materials, yeah, the RGB one is mostly plastic. The MT Pro, the chassis itself is metal. The color range is also a big one, the Kelvin color range between them. You can see that the RGB one goes between 3.2K and 5.6K Kelvin. Now, 5600 Kelvin is daylight, so there's that. Then the CRI, the color rendering index between the two, I wouldn't worry so much about this number. They both have built-in effects. And then finally, the pixel effects, there's 0 on the RGB one where there is 7. They both have control apps. We're about to go over the apps just real quick. And then they have a bunch of included accessories. The MT Pro, though, has a really nice case, like a carry case with it. So if you're going to take this stuff on the road, I really like the MT Pro's case. They both have the grid boxes. That allows you to control the lighting to a very specific area. The MT Pro, by the way, RGB one's mount points are on either end. The MT Pro has 1/4 20 on one end and then another 1/4 20 dead center. I prefer this to having one on either end. After the accessories is the price. And yes, there is a $110 MSRP difference between the two, and that number is actually greater when you think about discounts that you can get. The MT Pro almost never goes on sale, whereas the RGB one seems to go on sale almost every weekend on Amazon and drops down to about $71, $72 on Amazon. And I'll put links to both of these lights down below. Here we're looking at the Neewer app, and you can see that it is not designed for the iPad. I'm actually running this on my iPad. It's designed for the iPhone. So you can see that there's a listing of all the lights that I have currently tied to the app. If you look in the camera window for a second, if I turn the light on, you see that it's now enabled down in the lower left-hand corner of the app. And you can see that here's my settings. I'm under HSI mode. Of course, I can go and use CCT mode. So 50 is 55. I go to 5600. Then we have the effects like we were talking about before. They're all here, and they immediately kick in when you're using the app. So there's quite a few features here. Of course, I can turn the light on and off. I can rename the light. I can actually create groupings of lights, which is kind of cool. So I've got my presenter lights here. If you look in the camera view again, just turn those off. It gets dark behind me. And if I put them back on, there they are. So I've got full control here. So the app itself certainly does the job. And, I would venture to say that it's probably for what it is, it works. I have noticed that it does have some crash issues. So that's the Neewer app. And I'm going to go over into the Sidus Link App now, and we're going to take a look at that and see what it is in difference to the Neewer app. So here you can see the app itself, this is designed for the iPad. There is the Sidus Link iPad app, and it works wonderfully. If I go to MT Pro 2, okay, so right now it's set to that single light chase, which is, remember, this is what we've got. And now I can set this to double, and that's what it does. So there are features, all the FX features are built in here. The pixel effects, music effects, picker. A lot of the things that the Neewer app has is available here as well. So I have individual light control, and then I can also, so you see the little lava lamp light that I pointed out before, and you got this light. If I hit the all fixtures toggle, they all shut off. They remember their last state, just like the Neewer does. It remembers its last state. Inside the Sidus Link, I have presets set up for these lights, right? So I'm going to load up this preset. Boom. And now you see what happened right there. It just changed it. If you can go to like CCT mode here, I can set it to 5600. You have source match. Of course, we were looking at colors. You can pick colors. Basically, there's a ton of features in here that as a creator, as a YouTuber, as a live streamer, you may not even access. But the pixel effects, I think, is one that you will find yourself using quite a bit. I'm keeping both of them. And the reason why I'm keeping both is because they both have their own place in my studio. May not necessarily be the case for you, but I think it adds an effect. It adds an aura to the set, because I am in just a bedroom in my house that is, you know, gives it a little bit more of a professional, or at least a fun look. Yeah, they're both really good, and they both add a sense of depth. They add, obviously, splashes of color where you need them. And I think, generally speaking, they're very useful lights to have around. If there's one message that you're going to take away from this video, is that when you buy a light, you're buying into an ecosystem that you want to be able to easily control, and you want to be able to easily update, and you want firmware updates, you want software updates, you want to see all that happening. So look at the product reviews for the app first. So that's it. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them below. If you have any comments on the content, or did I leave something out, or there's something else you want to know more about, go ahead and leave that down below too, and I'll address what I can. Keep in mind that these reviews are much longer and much more detailed if you become a member at the basecamp.pro website. And it's not a very expensive buy-in, plus you get a ton of perks. And I do live streams every month with new products and talking about news as far as software and streaming platform news, all that fun stuff into a single live stream. So you have one place to go to get a wealth of information. And until next time, you guys take care. All right, bye-bye.